A very warm welcome, art lovers, to the art vlog with me, George Dopamine. The art exhibition I wanted to take you inside today is here at the Hayward Gallery on the South Bank in London. It's called Dear Earth, Art and Hope in a Time of Crisis, and it promises to explore 15 artists' response to the climate crisis. Artists including Ackroyd and Harvey, Christina Iglesias, Jenny Kendler, Richard Moss, and also Cornelia Parker, amongst others. I'm interested in this show. I'm a bit of an eco-warrior as well as an art lover, and I've always been a bit sceptical about the artistic response. Probably the one masterpiece, interestingly, that I've seen in relation to climate change was Richard Moss's Broken Spectre, which I covered as part of the channel. So this show is on until the 3rd of September. It's £15 to get in, £16 at weekends. It's worth saying as well, if I just spin you round, there is some work outside the show as well, which you can see for free, like this rather magnificent waterfall. So come and join me as we head inside this show at the Hayward Gallery. Always a really intriguing place to view some art.
Ottobol Nakanga is at the heart of the show. Quotes from her pepper the spaces, and this quote, "Care as a form of resistance," is almost like the rallying cry of the show. She's an artist uses many different forms. This conceptual piece, the trifurcation for example, sees the trunk of a naturally fallen sweet chestnut tree connected by rope to 3 glass biospheres. And when you peer down, you see their living ecosystems. Very, very interesting piece. Whereas the video work, In Pursuit of Bling, references an area in Namibia intensively mined to the point where it's sort of almost desolate and uninhabitable. There are other works, drawings, photography, and a textile work as well. So clearly a really interesting artist in many different forms. Andrea Bowers is an activist artist and one of my favourites of the entire show. She gets out there, as you'll see a bit later on with a picture, in the sea, in the environment. There's a lot of grief and mourning actually in these works, as well as hope. The central installation, which you're about to see, Memorial to Arcadia Woodland Clear Cut, commemorates a forest that Bowers tried and failed to save in California. It hangs from the gallery spaces, as you can see here. Some of my favourite works of the whole show were these, often mourning flora and fauna from Hawaii that are now extinct. The acrylic marker on cardboard produces really stunning works of beauty on a very workaday second-hand material. And we also, in many of the works, like the final one that's just coming up after the next painting, see lots of evidence of Bauer's eco-feminism as well. Himali Singh Soin's double-sided video work, dramatically surrounding a black pool of shimmering water, takes us to an imaginary scenario in the Arctic and Antarctic, but also refers back to colonial and post-colonial relationships as well. The work of Imani Jacqueline Brown is part environmental science lesson, part art installation. And I learned a huge amount about the areas of the world I know so little about in Louisiana, where an area called the Petrochemical Corridor, or Death Alley, has been massively impacted by carbon industries. And the artist shows us really powerfully the intersectionality between poverty, race, and environmental destruction.
Land eaters. Their infrastructure devours the black earth, killing the plants that hold sediment together as land.
Alois Macan's work, Axis of Life and Vines in the Mountains, sees a textile sculpture hold a community together in the face of climate disaster. The indigenous Paiwan from southern Taiwan were devastated by a typhoon that forced the community to leave their mountain village, and the artist gathered displaced indigenous women to help create the work that you see here. And I'd never seen such work as that by Ackroyd and Harvey. Their photographic photosynthesis works are grown from grass seed and represent London's, selection of London's environmental activists. Astonishing works. Hito Steele shows the relationship that big tech has to causing climate change with its huge carbon footprint, and this work is a reflection of it. The LED screen you see here is made up from empty bottles. Each pixel is represented by one bottle, but what's really interesting is it's backed by a wall of living plants which send bioelectric signals to the screen, causing the colours that you saw in that first clip. Artist Cornelia Parker is represented by a work which gives a voice to children and allows them to talk about their hopes and fears for the future within the context of climate change. If all of this is a bit too much and too depressing, Christina Ingles's immersive installation gives you a chance to sit down in a green metal box and be surrounded by the sound of running water. Below our feet, water runs over a strata of rock and sediment, encouraging us, according to the artist, to re-engage with the planet. Richard Moss is a favourite of mine, and his video work, Grid, is an intensive dispatch from the forefront of environmental destruction, featuring powerful speeches from the Yanomami tribe and accompanied by photographs. This is an urgent call to arms. Dai Ara Tukomo sees her work as listening to the world around us, not sharing a message. She was a new artist to me, and these pieces have been commissioned for this show. Hailing originally from Brazil, it makes sense to display her next to Richard Moss. Agnes Denes is the second touchstone of this exhibition. She's a very well-known environmental artist, and the drawings that you can see here employ scientific methods and techniques to portray abstract representations of the natural world. But much more than these, she's an art activist, and this is just like a little introduction before you're thrust into a huge gallery space where we get to see her manifesto and see evidence of her career as one of the world's most preeminent environmental artists. Her iconic work, Living Pyramid, contains live flowers and grasses, and it's the first time we can actually ever see this inside. It's been being displayed in various guises since 2015, and all the plants will be replanted at the end of the show. I really enjoyed as well engaging with evidence of her even more epic work, such as Wheatfield, photographs of which adorn the gallery walls around the living pyramid. Unusually, Jenny Kendler's work is actually shown on the roof of the Hayward Gallery, and this Birds Watching 3 contains the eyes of endangered species of birds which are in danger of extinction. And there's something incredibly unsettling about seeing this work surrounded by the brutalist concrete of the South Bank and the wider city of London, one of the most unenvironmental landscapes on earth. And I did really enjoy her final piece, where Tell It to the Birds, where you're meant to whisper your secrets into this speaker, and in return they're transformed into bird noise. That's great. Art vlog. Hello. Welcome to the art vlog.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that sneak peek there into Dear Earth, art and hope in a time of crisis at the Hayward Gallery. I have to admit, it's been about a week since I've been to that show. I'm actually heading into work this morning, and I've had to sit on it for a long time because it's led me to a series of conundrums. I'd say straight up, I enjoyed the curation. There was a really nice flow to the exhibition. I like the way, a bit like with the Black Fantastic, the Hayward Gallery used individual spaces to showcase individual artists. So it was kind of like a series of mini exhibitions brought together by theme. That was cool. The art for me was hit and miss. A few pieces really moved me. Some bits left me cold and sort of questioning of the point of them. However, I suppose the wider question is, does this show make a difference to the most pressing crisis of our time, climate change? The thesis of the show is that caring is a form of resistance, and I care tremendously for the planet and hopefully live my life in a very green way. I don't have a car, I haven't flown since 2017, I have electricity and gas as far as you can, which is not total, and so I do go beyond caring, hopefully. And I don't think that caring is a form of resistance if it's not linked by action or linked to action. And that's why the four artists that really drew me and I thought were powerful were, first of all, Andrea Bowers. I thought that she was produced very beautiful work, especially the acrylic on cardboard, which I'd love to have in my house on the wall. But also because she was out there down at the bottom of the ocean off the Florida Keys, or trying to save a forest in California, or presenting us with some of the lost flora and fauna of Hawaii. She was an activist who was very much out there, and I like that, and trying to make a difference. Similarly, one of my favourites, Richard Moss. Do check out my Broken Spectre vlog from the 180 Studios if you can. He was, he's bringing us these really urgent artworks from the front line of climate crisis in the Amazon rainforest, and his work again didn't fail to shock, educate and move me. That old stalwart, she's in her 90s now, but has been a consistent producer of outstanding art linked to the environment since the 1960s. Agnes Denes. The showpiece, her living pyramid, was a highlight of the whole show. But more so actually was the pictures of the wheat field that she grew in New York as a confrontation with the capitalist skyrises opposite. And also the forest, which is going to apparently last for 400 years and is both beautiful work of land art and something which will actively help climate change. And finally, Imani Jacqueline Brown's work from the deep south of America, I think is really important. As I said in my review, I question whether all of it was art, but it was in an art gallery and it was educating me. So those 4 artists really moved me. And the final question really is the world a better place for this exhibition? It's set the bar high. In terms of pure carbon emissions, no. Obviously these works had to be transported from all over the world to London. All of us visitors coming, despite the fact that most of us would have come by public transport, which is lower carbon, still emitted carbon. So in lots of ways this exhibition has contributed to the carbon crisis, as do all art exhibitions. And I would never want art exhibitions to stop as a result, but I do want them to try and aim to be carbon neutral. And so if it's a no in terms of carbon, did it do enough to offset that by raising consciousness and changing minds? And I think it only partially did that. And so for that reason, I'm giving this a 6.5 out of 10. It's a worthwhile exhibition with some moving pieces of art. And maybe I'm judging it on higher criteria than I would be usually, but that's because it promised to bring us hope in a time of crisis. The exhibition's on until the 3rd of September. I think that £16 a weekend is reasonable value. One thing I would say with that is the Hayward Gallery, I booked online a £3 admin fee, so it was actually £19. Come on, out of order. Anyway, do subscribe to the art vlog, hit that notification bell for loads more reviews. We're going to go to the reimagined National Portrait Gallery soon. And most importantly though, do get out there and explore this wonderful, creative and incredibly rich UK art scene.